Good afternoon, dear colleagues. This is to welcome everybody into a new session, and I pray it shall be each free session for every one of us. We are already in a new session, and we are starting with teaching practice exercise, and there is need to acquaint ourselves with some things we need to do as far as supervision is concerned. What we want to talk about today is not a new thing to us, it's just a kind of refreshing our memory on some of the things we need to take into consideration while supervising our students. And I will be talking on conduct of teaching practice supervision and the image of Solarin University of Education. Teaching practice is an exercise or act of hand-on experience for stipulated period of time with the aim of improving student teachers' ability to teach satisfactorily as future teachers. Among other things, the exercise is meant to expose our student teachers to real-life classroom experiences under the supervision of qualified and trained professional teachers. It is also to give student teachers the opportunity to observe and study learners as well as to develop their own ways of working with them. Teaching practice exercise is to provide the opportunity and guidance in a school setting for student teachers to develop their professional competencies and professional characteristics, knowledge, and skills as future teachers. It is also to help student teachers to develop positive attitude towards the teaching profession. In a nutshell, teaching practice should be practical oriented and must be tailored towards the production of highly motivated, conscientious, and efficient classrooms. There are so many roles expected of teaching practice supervisors. The first role is visitation. That is, each supervisor is to visit schools to observe the teaching learning process for the purpose of assisting student teachers to improve on his or her competence or to enhance their learning and attainment of educational objectives. Good conduct. It is expected that supervisors will conduct themselves properly as they will receive the greatest share of the praise for the success of the exercise or get blamed for its. Supervisors need to get updated. That is, they must be conversant or updated with the latest development in educational practices and teaching practice schedules. They are to be more polite in dealing with teachers in the cooperating schools, and they must be fair to all students as they assess the student teachers during the lesson presentation. For supervisors to achieve effective supervisions, there are so many steps that need to be followed. The first one is pre-observation or preparatory step, observation and assessment step or stage, and feedback or post-observation step or stage. For pre-observation or preparatory stage, the supervisor is to collect the student teacher's lesson plan, vet it before the commencement of the real teaching. The reason for doing this is to assess the adequacy or otherwise of the lesson plan and see that it is in relation to the objectives of the lesson. The second step, which is the observation and the assessment stage, supervisors are to observe the actual presentation or teaching and award marks based on the performance in each of the skills identified in the section of the assessment form. Those marks are to be allocated based on the lesson presentation of the student teacher, based on mastery of the subject matter by the student teacher, based on the effective use of instructional materials by the student teacher. Marks allocated will always also be based on students' effective communication, students' teachers' use of classroom control and management, as well as the appropriate evaluation technique. Also, marks shall be allocated based on teachers' personality or mode of dressing and many. For the feedback stroke post observation stage, oftentimes this takes place at the end of the entire supervision exercise during the day. Here, all the student teachers assessed are gathered together for briefing with the intention of showing each student teacher his or her area of strength or weaknesses and generally for improvement. In a situation where the population of the student does not permit meeting on an individual basis, a group of meeting as means of providing feedback is highly recommended. As we know that majority of students of Solarin University of Education on teaching practice have little or no experience about teaching, therefore supervisors need to approach their assignment with a high sense of responsibility. For this, we have greater implication for the image of the university. In doing this, it is expected that lecturers or supervisors will assist the student teachers where necessary. They are to also intimate the student teachers with the challenges and problems that are associated with the teaching profession without discouraging them. Over the years, as we all know, in Ogun State, all students of Taiwo University of Education have always been greatly commended on their performances and comportment during teaching practice as compared to other sister institutions. For us to maintain this tempo, it is therefore expected that the university, the teaching practice board, and lecturers on supervision will be further guided in the following respects: the image, to promote the image of the university in a good light. They had to ensure that the posting list for the student teachers and the supervisors are ready and given to them on schedule or without delay. Any question or inquiries must be directed to the teaching practice board, and this must be addressed promptly. There should be adequate arrangements to ease the transportation of supervisors by the teaching practice board for them to get to their places of assignment with little or no difficulty. Also, universities should ensure that there is harmonious relationship between the university and the cooperating schools where the student teachers are posted. Supervisors should pay courtesy visits to the school authorities on entering the school compounds before assessing the students and should take reports on the conduct or behavior of student teachers reported to them in the schools they visit for the assignment. Supervisors should ensure that marks are awarded are true reflections of the students' performances and be in agreement with the comments on the assessment form. Supervisors should never request student teachers to meet them in unholy or unauthorized places for scoring them during teaching practice exercise. Any scoring done outside the classroom is unethical and a betrayal of trust and is not good for the image of the university. Supervisors' comments should be based on classroom observations and followed with suggestions for improvement on the students' lesson notes. All used and unused teaching practice assessment forms should be returned to the university teaching practice coordinator of each college promptly to allow for timely collation and computation of students' scores. Supervisors should be patient in attending to all the students attached to them from the beginning of the supervision to the end of their lesson presentations. Supervisors should be aware that the teaching practice is compulsory and a must for all the students, and it is meant to serve as a formative evaluation with the largest credit load. It is essential for supervisors to write their names and append signatures in both the lesson notes and assessment forms as much as possible. Lecturers as well as supervisors should not be given or allocated too many students to supervise in order to achieve thorough supervision. In conclusion, supervisors should know that they are role models to student teachers. Therefore, they are not expected to accept or demand any form of gratification from student teachers. It tells a lot on their personal integrity and the image of the university. If all these are thoroughly followed, we will continue to maintain the high integrity associated with Solarin University of Education. Thank you for listening. Once all this